three-way. How did we get a three-way? Oh my God, how did I? G'day everybody, how you going today? It is so good to see you. Somehow I've stuffed up, and we've got a three-way shot. Let me see if I can. Oh God, let me see if I can. I don't know what I've done, Bobby. We'll just have to press some buttons and see what happens. Maybe I'll remove me.
We're starting early with the
solo.
three-way. We're starting early with the
Bobby,
three-way,
tell me,
Matt.
whilst I work on this, tell me about your week.
Well, it's definitely not in
Here
the
we go.
three-ways kind of a thing. Here we go.
Well, we're all set now. I've fixed it. Hello, everybody. It's so fantastic to have you here. Those who've already joined us before we started streaming. Bobby, how are you in beautiful, sunny, hot, humid, probably thundery later today, Singapore?
Actually, it was just thundery right now. We just got over the little bit of a rain spell this morning, but I'm doing okay, Matt. Great to be back with you once again. I think last week I was busy because I was doing an interview with this really wonderful gentleman from Apple, Eddie Q,
Yes.
who's the Senior Vice President of Services.
Oh, yeah, with Eddie. Wow.
Yeah. So we had a sit-down chat for about 15 minutes. We had to do it in the morning at the Apple store at Marina Bay Sands. For anybody who's ever been to Singapore, that's the big dome in the water by Marina Bay Sands. It's one of the most beautiful stores in the world from Apple. And so we had it there. It was great. Great chat, great time. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to make the live stream. And then obviously you had a live stream as well on top of that, right? No, that was your 2470 review. That was your 2470 review, right?
We did a 2470, and then we did the firmware 2.0 with the
That's right.
The highlights. But Bobby, I think you also should share with everybody that you're so cool. You're off to Cupertino.
I am. I'm off to Apple on Monday morning, so I'll be going there for the iPhone launch, which will be absolutely epic. My first time going for an iPhone launch. Previously, I was there for WWDC, which is cool, and then I did an iPad launch in the UK prior to that. But yeah, this is gonna be the first time for this, so I'm excited. I am pumped for this. It's gonna be a crazy few days.
Have you got any vibes? I mean, obviously phones, because that's what they always do.
Yeah. I would say the vibes I have for this is I think everybody's very excited. You know, sometimes you get the vibes that they know, okay, this is gonna be a launch, and they don't really say too much. But you can get this sense of excitement from people around the Appleverse, especially when I was out there last week. You can get this excitement that they know something very cool is brewing, but they don't want to say anything. Of course, they can't. They're very secretive. But yeah, I mean, I was like, okay, this is going to be an exciting one. And they said also this year we maybe get a little bit more access than we previously did. So I don't know what that means. We'll find out. So yeah, we'll find out in a few days' time.
Well,
And how about
you've got a big week ahead, and if we're really lucky, we'll get to talk to you maybe after that, unless you're on an aeroplane. So we'll just see. We'll just see. All right. Well, let's
have a good time.
Let's jump into the news of this week, which of course the biggest news to drop in the last 24 hours is the arrival of a new ZF. Bobby, what's going on?
Well, you know, I think Nikon decided to make it a silver color this year. You know, it started with black and then go silver, and that's exactly what they did, and it looks absolutely beautiful. It does look a little bit more like a ZFC. You know what I mean? I kind of maybe have a preference more towards the black. There's the ZFC right there, which is still a very beautiful camera, by the way. Very beautiful.
No, that's the ZF.
Oh, is it? You got the ZF there.
And this is the ZFC. So this is the original ZFC from, launch, which I bought, which looks pretty cool. And, Bobby and I were chatting just before we came on that it's like, well, we do really like the silver ZF, but it does look a lot like the ZFC. Let me just flick back to Nikon's webpage, and there you go. So, yeah, they do look quite similar. And I think it's one of those things that maybe a little bit like when we look at some of the Leica cameras, Bobby, and we kind of go, what's going on? But then you see it in the flesh. Like I actually went and looked at the Safari Green here in the Leica store in Melbourne, and it is just simply outstanding. I don't know what they did with that color, but it's just like, I need that color. I want that color. What's going on?
It is a beautiful color, and actually the paint on that is extra thick. So they have made it in a sense it's going to be more robust than I think the black paint. So they say to get it to brass, it will take a lot more wear and tear than, let's say, the black. So, I saw it in person as well when I went to Wetzlar for the 100th anniversary, and I was just like, wow, this is stunning. Absolutely stunning color. They should make more in this in green, more colors, more options in green,
more things. But so the ZF's now in a whole bunch of new colors as well, and I don't know if that's in every region, but I'm just going to quickly show everybody. And I'd love you to tell us in the comments of these new colors, which ones do you like? Let me just zoom that up. No, it doesn't want to zoom. Let me try.
Yeah, you know, I know we were talking yesterday because here in Singapore they don't show the other colors, so I'm wondering if it is region only or maybe they just didn't put it into the marketing. I'll ask them later on today about that. But yeah, I mean, but I feel like the colors work better with the black version. You know what I mean? I think the colors they got with the silver, the brown is nice that you're showing on the screen right now. The brown is nice, this tan brown. But when it gets into the pink and the blues, I feel like it doesn't go with the silver as much. I don't know. That's just me. But you know, because you've got all the black. Yeah.
I hear you. And this orange color, it's actually not the same as the sunset orange. It's a little. It's a bit more muted, and and they're calling it cognac something.
Ooh, cognac.
So that's a good color. Let me see if I can find. I'll just see if I can find the colors somewhere. But so yeah, look, it's interesting. It's interesting, and I think, Bobby, that they've updated the black ones to these new colors as well. So the original old colors, I think, are gone.
Really?
I'm still actually trying to work out. There's a little. It's not 100% clear. Just give me a second while I try and find those colors, because they've got. I almost love the names of the colors as much as the actual colors, Bobby, because they come up with these great names.
They do, and you know one thing that I do like what they do with this, and I wish they would do this with the black, the standard black, is that the leather that they use is a really nice texture on some of these. And I felt it in person, and it's beautiful. But then the black feels a bit more like a plasticky sort of vulcanite black. You know what I mean? The standard black that's on there. But when you go into the wraps, they got a really nice luxury texture to it. So it's like they pick some very good swaths of leather or whatever they're using, leatherette, and they make it feel very premium. Phil's saying tan, brown, or black with silver, but honestly, like the black. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, there are people, Rad says he likes the olive green as well. I would say the olive green and maybe the tan, or you say cognac, probably are the two best colors, I feel, outside of the black. You know what I mean? But
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the marketing video that came with the launch of this camera, and I'm just going to try and find it.
Sure.
Here it is here. But it's definitely aimed at a young audience. So let's just get back over to the web browser, and you're going to be a bit of a delay on this. And so interestingly, Bobby, just while that comes around to you being able to see it, part of this video is a global video, and they actually shot part of it here in Melbourne, which is
how about that?
Really interesting. How about that?
Did they call you?
How about
Did
that?
they call you? Did they call you?
No, I didn't shoot it. So how about that as well?
That's not good. That's not good. What happened?
Well, you know, that's okay. I don't work for Nikon, so I don't work for Nikon. But anyway, it's really interesting to see the you know, it's skewing young, and so I can see some of these colors are based on that. Yeah, that's sort of the idea there.
Young and youthful. You know, that's just not us, Matt. You know what I mean? We're more of a we're more mature.
We're youthful.
We're more mature.
Well, we're youthful at heart. I'm pretty confident of that.
That's true.
Now, also, were you aware, Bobby, something else was announced at the same time with the ZF? Does anyone else know in the comments? Do you know what else was announced?
Yeah, film grain.
Yes. How about
what
that?
Is this? What is this? They had a film grain option inside of this thing? What is it? I mean, yeah.
It is exactly what you just said. There's three levels of grain. There's three levels of grain and six levels of coarseness or something, and it's going to come later this year. So I suppose it's the idea of sorry, I can't find the thing related to it, but you know, no big deal. Oh no, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. But it's interesting. So there's no information on whether it's for ZF only or whether it's for all the other cameras as well. So
yeah,
I would have thought you're gonna give it to everybody, but you know, this is how retro they're going, isn't it? And you know, I saw someone discussing it, and they were sort of saying, but don't we already have grain? And they're like, no, noise is different to grain. So my guess is they're actually going to try and make it filmic. They'll actually make it filmic.
Wow. They gotta mix it up a little bit. It's a fun update. It's not going to. I don't think it's probably due for dedicated video, but I think it's a fun update. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Interesting that you say video, because the grain will be able to be applied to video as well. Yeah.
Well, there we go. See how I led you into that one, Matt? I just led you right into that film grain for video.
You opened the gate and you let me just go on through. I tell you that what you're seeing there, everybody, is a pro at work right there. A pro at work. I love that. Now, Craig said, I'm happy they launched with black, but glad they did silver options for those that prefer it. I'm excited for the upcoming ZF film grain options. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it'll just be, I don't know. I mean, does any other camera brand actually put grain back into their files, or I can't think of anyone that does it.
Yeah, I think Fuji, you can do it on there. I think there's options inside that for that. I mean, again, it's a fun thing. It just because obviously it's more of a retro camera, give it more of a film vibe. They know that's what people like to do. Everybody's adding grain and adding light leaks and making their images look imperfect. You know what I mean, with all these phone apps. So might as well put inside there and give you an option. So I think it's great. And plus the files coming out of the ZF, as we've talked about previously, are just fantastic, even in JPEG. So it's a good option. I think it just adds a little bit more fun to the camera. And it breathes a nice second life into the ZF because it's been out for a couple of years already. And I think that this sort of just kind of reinvigorates the market, and it gets people going, oh, look, Nikon's will re-release the ZF in silver. And for those who don't like black, they get silver. It's kind of a cool option.
I looked it up, and they've literally popped it out like just a week short of 2 years since it came out. So I think that's it's a celebration. Joseph says, I absolutely need my Z8 photos to look like it's from 1962. Fantastic point, Joseph. I want my ZF to look like my T-Max 3200 pushed to 6400, and damn, did that have grain. That had grain. Enormous grain. There was probably almost as much grain as there was resolution. It's beautiful stuff. Anyway, there you go. That's the new ZF. I think one last thing before we disappear from the ZF. I've just got to open a file here. That is the wrong file.
What's
I think you know when you see car reviews, Bobby, and the reviewers will often walk around a car and they'll talk about the best angles. They'll go, I think the 3/4 panel, this doesn't look good, but from behind it looks great. You've probably, you've done some car work in your time. You've probably even had those conversations about cars, haven't you, Bobby? Well, I think
all the time.
I'm going to just show everybody, this is my favorite view of the new silver ZF. I think this is where it looks most kind of classic. And, obviously I feel like Fujifilm and Nikon are very much in the same space when you see this particular view, which is the top view. I'd love everyone in the comments to tell us, what's your favorite view of the ZF?
Oh, that's nice, Matt.
Front,
that is nice,
back.
Matt. That's nice, Matt. Yeah, that looks good. That's a nice
working it,
view.
isn't it?
It's working. And you know what? You see the nice texture to the silver paint. So I haven't seen this in person. I might actually later on this afternoon, if I can, jump over to the Nikon Singapore store because I think they have it available there and check it out. I would love to see this in person because, I've heard mixed reactions on this. Some people like it. Some people are a little bit not too sure. But this finish, based on this photo, looks pretty good. This looks pretty good. But, here's the thing, right? I mean, because the knobs are brass on this, I kind of feel like the black with brassing looks a little bit better than silver with brassing. If you want to brass it up a little bit, if you don't want to, if you want to keep it nice and clean, the silver could be very nice. But this is a very nice top-down shot. I have to say, I like looking at the top-down on that one. That's nice. Ooh, sexy.
And it's interesting. Do you remember when Rishi actually he made a video how he sanded back his unit to give it the what's that term? Not knurling. I can't remember.
He brassed it up a bit. Yeah, patina, a little bit of
patina.
Patina. Yeah, patina.
It's a great word, that patina, isn't it?
It's a fantastic word.
All right, now the next thing I wanted to talk about, Bobby, that I think is quite interesting is there's some data that's come out about the sales from each camera brand. And
let's talk about that.
And Bobby, of course, you know how I love data. Remember how I love data?
You are the man. You are the man of numbers, my friend. You are the man with numbers.
I love data because data is binary. It's either it's right. It's data. There's nothing to talk about. So what we're going to throw up here is some graphs from the sales of cameras from the last 4 years from each of the major 4 brands. And I'm just going to fill for a second for that to appear for you, hopefully in about 5 seconds' time. And what we're seeing here on the top left is no, sorry, that is the wrong graph. Just hold for a second. That's annoying because I'm going to have to fill for even longer. There we go. That's the graph.
There we go.
We'll go back to that other graph. So this graph, and Bobby, can I tell you, I made this graph with ChatGPT. I fed in the numbers and I just said, make me some bar graphs, make them landscape, blah, blah, blah. Here it is. Whereas
look at that.
It would have taken me 25 minutes to do that in Excel, which I could have done, but it would have taken me a much longer amount of time. So here is AI doing useful things for people, making a graph in about 30 seconds. Anyway, what we're looking at here is 2021 in the top left. Have you got the graph? Has everyone got the graph?
We do. We all have the graph right here. This is looking pretty good, I have to say.
Good. Yeah. We've got camera shipments 2021 top left, 2022 top right, 2023 bottom left, 2024 bottom right. So this is the last 4 year of sales. Now we can see in 2021, Sony's kicking butt. They're at 1.4 million. Now I just need to say this includes compacts and this includes DSLRs. So this is everything. And you can just see here, Canon and Sony are so dominant in 2021. Sorry, I'm waving my arms and not moving my mouse. Over here, if you can see where my mouse is. Obviously, look at Nikon. They're sitting at 3 million units. But then move across to 2022. Canon's gone ahead. They've surged. And this is probably with the arrival of things like the R5 and the R6. Because, I think it's around then that they're starting to sort of rear their heads.
Yeah.
Nikon goes from 3 million to 5 million. So that's almost doubling the output, which is pretty impressive. Keep an eye on Fuji. Fuji go from 4 million and they actually go down in sales, which I find intriguing because they always sound like they're selling so much stuff. Go to 2023. Canon are at almost 2 million now. This is ridiculous. That's a huge number. Yeah. Sony, for some reason, has gone. They've climbed. The graph looks smaller, but they've actually climbed as well to 1.5 million. Nikon has gone from where have they gone from? They've gone from 500,000 to almost 600,000. Anyway, what we're seeing here overall is a growth in the industry. If you actually do the addition of all of this, the total units sold is going up, Bobby. So the industry is selling more cameras, which is very exciting. But I think the biggest surprise for me out of this is just how dominant Canon is. I mean, are you surprised by that? Like, this is last year.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised by this, and this is something that I saw on a news article, and I don't know, this might be related to the articles that you saw as well, is that the DSLRs are still selling very well for Canon. Even though that they moved on to the RF mount, the DSLRs are the driving force behind a lot of their numbers, from what I understand. Now, I don't know 100%, but because their marketing has been very soft over the past year, I mean, there has really not been a lot of marketing out there. I mean, not like they used to be. I mean, compared to Sony, compared to Nikon, compared to Fujifilm, compared to other brands, they're very soft. And I'm quite shocked at these numbers in a lot of ways. But again, if they're selling DSLRs, it does make sense that they're still in the marketplace because people still rely and look at Canon as a DSLR, for a lot of reasons. And plus, the EF lenses are cheaper than the RF lenses too. So another reason.
Yes, Harumph is saying that the AI might have not got the bars right. I do actually have the raw data, and I did cross-examine with the raw data, but let me just double-check that. It's a fair comment. Let me have a look here. 2024, 2 million. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no, they look right. Yeah. Anyway, look, it is really interesting, and compacts. I was actually in a camera store this week, and I asked the store manager, what sells, and they just said everybody's buying compacts. Compacts, especially young people are loving compacts, and not just young people though. And they will buy any compact. So they might come in to buy something and it's out of stock, so they'll just buy something else. So they're not even brand. Yeah. And Canon has a lot of cameras in that space. Probably, by the sounds of it, they've got more than everybody else. And these are cameras we don't even talk about that much. So yeah, it's really interesting to see such a high number there. And just for everyone to keep in mind, to repeat, this is mirrorless, DSLR, and compacts. And that's why Canon is so high up. Because if we were to look at full frame mirrorless, which I don't have that data with me right now, this would look completely different.
I'm sure
than what it looks here. Anyway, I find that really interesting. Bobby, we're also going to look at last week's poll. So why?
Oh yes, you had a poll last week, didn't you?
Yeah. And we'll do a poll this week, which we can please ask in the comments below. Maybe we should do a poll. You know how I love data, Bobby.
Yes.
But you could just fill for me for 10 seconds. That would be
sure.
Amazing.
So I would say one of the interesting things about that graph, though, is actually sometimes we think that Fujifilm is selling more, but it looks like they're selling a little bit less. And OM Systems has dropped a bit. Panasonic is coming up. But, Nikon has gradually been going up as of late. But I think there's also, and I think you could say that when you look at the numbers, I thought Fujifilm would be much higher, being that they're more of the retro kind of smaller camera, compact camera. But not necessarily so. But I do think 2025 will be a very interesting graph to see because of the price increases from a lot of brands. Some brands are increasing much more so than other brands out there, and that might impact sales going forward. I mean, some are using it as a reason as tariffs as an excuse, but I do think a lot of it is actually just seeing the market for, hey, we can raise our prices, call it a tariff increase, and we can raise it a couple times throughout the year. But the reality of it is tariffs aren't going up and down that much. So I do think this is an opportunity for camera brands to sort of either reposition some lines by making them a little bit more, pricier for the market to sort of gain a little bit more revenue. And obviously there is a new trend going on with a lot of the younger people, and that's more experienced travel. So you're seeing it here in Singapore, especially. People are not spending on the high-end restaurants. They're not buying the luxury items like before. They're taking that money and they're taking it more for experienced travel or spending it on experiences. And one of the things why we're seeing camera sales go up, I feel, is because to document those experiences, you want a camera. And it could be a compact camera. It could be an old CCD compact camera from maybe 10 years ago. It could be a new one, but they want to document these travels. And the smartphone, while it's good, isn't at the level of these other cameras. It doesn't give them the same feel and the same vibe. And so I would say that probably we're going to see an increase in these more small compact camera systems because of this new trend that's going on here. And this will probably happen for the next couple of years, because I can tell you right now, in Singapore, we've had a ton of restaurants closing, a lot of restaurants closing. I mean, record numbers. And you talk to the owners and they're just, people are not spending like they did anymore. But travel, they will spend. And with travel comes photography and videography.
Yeah. Experiential. Now you'll see on your screen here that data broken into each company. So there's Canon, and you can just see growth, right? What we're seeing here from all of the brands pretty much is growth. And this is basically 2021 was a COVID year. It was also kind of when mirrorless was becoming mature for all of the brands. Yeah. And basically, except for Sony, who were already mature in the mirrorless space, 2022 was a quieter year, but they've all had quite significant growth. If you look at Canon, they've gone from, just over 1 million to 1.6 million. Now, of course, this is including everything. Sony have gone from 1.4 million to 1.6 million. Nikon has gone from under 300,000 to it's 760,000. So they've more than doubled their market share in the last 3 or 4 years, which, interestingly, if you look at all of these companies, they've actually grown the most. Now, they probably lost the most, but they've now rebounded the most of all of the companies. So that it's just really interesting stuff. But and it's surprising there that Fuji, as we can see, Fuji is sitting just below 500,000, and Nikon is, around 760,000. So it's significantly larger, right? But again, as we talked about, we kind of get this vibe that Fuji sell so many cameras, but here's the data. Yeah. So it's really interesting stuff. And this is collected by a Japanese company that puts this together annually. So it's hard data. Anyway, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, what was I going to... Oh, I remember now. The poll. Can't wait to go over to the poll. Here we go.
Yes.
So, Bobby,
what is the poll, Matt?
Miss,
what is the poll?
You missed... Well, last week's poll was, what was your favorite feature from the Z6 III? Now, Bobby, before you look at the numbers and how they came up,
I voted for this. I voted for this.
You did?
I went on your poll and I voted for this one, yes.
I thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So what did you vote for?
Bird detection.
Look at that. Well, and you can look at the numbers. So bird detect came in at 60%, Bobby. 60%.
Wow. How about
Pixel
that?
shift, 14%, image authentication, 12%, and focus limiter, 13%. It's interesting those other three are almost the same. They've got the same levels of interest. But bird detect, so there you go. There is a hard data to say bird detect was very important, and it's arrived. Yeah, it's great stuff. And the previous, we may as well look at the previous poll because this might be of interest to you, Bobby.
Ooh, ouch. Wow, look at that one.
Well,
dang.
You better have a look. So the third one is I'll wait for the price to drop. So basically then you've got about a third of people will buy it at some point in time. And, you know, and other people, they just never buy a 24 to 70 and that's okay. Or the one, you know, they've got the F4 or they've got the 24 to 120. So that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, a lens. I mean, what percentage of photographers, Bobby, do you think buy the Trinity?
I don't think that many. I mean, the average, from what I understand, the average person who buys a camera buys one lens and that's it. They don't buy a series of lenses. Now, in our group here, then in this live stream and in this community, we buy a lot of stuff. But I think the average buyer buys one lens, maybe two, and that's it. So they're going to look for something with a little bit of range. I think the pricing on this one is a bit high. I mean, I get that it's the first internal zoom, 24 to 70. I get that it's got up to 500% faster autofocus based on the new technology
Silky
they got
Swift
inside of it. All that Silky Swift stuff that they got there, you know, new optics, new coatings, all that kind of stuff. But you know, we're at a point now where I think some of the camera companies are charging a bit more of a premium than what the customers are comfortable with. And I think that there will be promotions going on very soon to sort of bring it back down as they normally do. I think a lot of them are trying to test the market, test the water, see what works. Are people going to buy into this? But if these numbers, what we're representing here, are an example or a sample of the larger scale of how people look at this lens, Nikon may have to adjust the pricing to make it a bit more enticing for people to want to get into a new 24 to 70 because, I mean, I use the older 24-70. It's a fantastic lens. It doesn't have internal zoom. Okay, it's a little bit larger, but it still is very good for autofocus. It's still got fantastic optics. Do I need faster? Some people may not. And so as a result, it might be one of those things where it'd have been nice if they kept it at the same price or made it slightly less. Then I think we would have seen a much more more people, you know, eager to upgrade. But it's more expensive, correct? I don't know the exact pricing, but
yeah, it's a little bit more expensive. I did do a calculation. You know how I like my data, Bobby.
Of course, Matt.
I did a calculation based on inflation, and actually, it's under inflation. So I don't know. Look, this is a professional class lens. That's aimed at people who want best in class for video, best in class when you're in a war zone, best in class when you're shooting an ultra marathon and it's raining, and this is the lens that will be toughest and best weather sealed. And I made a statement in my video, which was just speculation. Will the version 1 remain? And, you know, I think it might. So in other words, it's tiered. You can buy the 24 to 70 F4. You can buy the 24 to 70 2.8 version 1, or you can buy the 24 to 70 version 2, and just based on your use case. And to me, that kind of makes sense. It's essentially the same as a 400 2.8 or you know, one of these kind of or an 85 1.2. Do you know what I mean? Like, get it if you need it, and if you don't need it, don't get it, and that's fine.
That's true.
Yeah. So we've got some questions flying, and I love it when the questions are flying. Do you want to take this question, Bobby, from VJ? I don't know if you can see it on the screen. It might be on your other screen. It's been up.
Let me check it up here. VJ is. Oh my gosh.
The question is: there have been rumors of an upgrade to the Z mount. Anyone hear anything on this?
No.
Okay, I've heard absolutely nothing on it. I would be extremely surprised if any camera manufacturer changed their mount within 30 to 50 years of creating a mount, because you just invest in it. And because this is the most flexible mount on the market, there is no reason to make it more flexible and bigger and shorter.
I don't think, I think VJ, there's a lot of rumors out there right now, VJ. I think I would take a lot of these with a grain of salt. A lot of these are not true. Some of them have some sort of truth to them, but this one is probably one of those that I would put into the fake news category.
Where did this rumor come from, VJ? Or do you
I
know?
have no idea. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Paul asks, these are volumes, so would be interested to see sales and grossing. Yes, fair enough. What is the margin? Who's making the most margin? I do recall looking at Nikon's margin. Their margins are really good. So, but I don't have that data right now. Jim has said, I pre-ordered the 24-70 version 2. Fantastic.
Look at Jim.
That is so cool.
Look at Jim. Helping Nikon pay the bills. Good job, Jim.
Yeah, there we go. I voted for Bird Detect, says Rad. Here we go. The Z Trinity seems to have put on even more weight. What do you mean, Roy? This lens is actually lighter. So, you're saying over the F mount lenses? I don't think they're heavier.
No.
I'd have to check that. Anyway, Harumph has said, is this shipped or end? Is this shipped or end retail sales for the data? Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah. Good question.
Yeah,
we don't know.
I don't know. I don't know, and that's fair enough. I mean, ultimately, I suppose you could have, what do they call it? They call it stuffing the supply chain or something. Stuffing the where they sell it to retailers and say we sold them, but they're actually just sitting in a warehouse somewhere. Don't know.
But technically, if they have sold it to retailers, they've already sold the camera. So it's up to the retailers to let you get those sold out on their side. So in a sense, these numbers could be correct. It's just that, are people buying them in the stores? Are the retailers promoting them? Are they getting them out there? Again, we don't know the trends on that regard, but we know that these are the cameras probably that were shipped out to retailers.
And look, ultimately they will be sold. The retail will sell however they have to sell them at the end of the day, whether that's discounting or promotions or whatever. Yeah. Craig C says, I went with the 21.8, the 24-120, and the 70-200. So there you go.
Ooh,
that's just a little bit of a different mix. Now, Deborah has said here, don't you mean we buy too much? Maybe there was another conversation going on.
No, but when I was saying that, when I was mentioning that the average person buys one lens, maybe two, and here we buy a lot, so we are into this a bit more. So I think she was referring to that comment that I made on that one.
Yeah, well, isn't that amazing data, Bobby? That the what do they call it? The attach rate of lenses to cameras is a bit different between manufacturers, but it's between 1.2 and 1.8, depending on who you are. Yeah. Yet probably all of us here have more than that, and I know I do. So
yes,
my attach rate is definitely skewing the averages. John Ishi's in the house. Good to see you guys. Been busy dealing with the trolls on my channel. Oh, man. Sorry to hear you have trolls on your channel. What's going on? Let us know. That's no fun. Watch De Beers. I own the 14-24 2.8, the 24-120 f4. Don't need the Trinity. There you go. So plenty of people just don't, they make up their focal lengths different ways. We've got Harumph going.
But Matt, I'm thinking, right? I just want to jump in real quick here. Now that they've revamped the 24-70 f 2.8, giving us a version 2, what do you think will be the next lens that'll get a version 2 from Nikon? Because this is kind of the first time we're seeing a version 2 coming out for some of their lenses. What do you think the next one is? Yeah,
well, we touched on this in the episode last week or whenever.
Sorry about that.
But I'm happy to touch on it again, Bobby, because you and I we go hard and
yes, we
go
do.
Home. So my theory on this is I don't know if you've ever played or looked at the 14-24, the new one, the Z. It's very different to the F mount, so I think it's kind of a new formula, right?
Right.
Whereas I own the final F mount 70-200 2.8 FLED, and I've got the new Z one. and they seem very similar. So just looking at it from the outside, I feel like there's opportunity for the 70 to 200 because I reckon it was a very similar formula. Whereas the 14 to 24 was definitely a new formula. Like it's lighter, smaller, it's just a completely different beast. So that's what agree. So Trinity wise, I reckon that's next. But some of the lenses I would like to see is things like a 24 to 122.8. I think that would be ridiculously cool if that could happen. Obviously, there's a really valid request for a 24 to 70 f2. And if any mount can do a 24 instead of a 28, it would be the Z mount. Because, of course, we know Canon and Sony have 28 to 70 2.8s. Sorry, 2.0s, which people are very excited about. Of course, they're very expensive. They're heavy. And, of course, they're extending, which, now that Nikon has spoilt us with the first one of these lenses in this general area sealed, I would kind of go from now on. If I'm going to buy a 24 to 70 2.0, and that is a prime optic, I'd want it to be sealed because it'll be $2,000 more probably, right? So
true.
So that's what do you think? What do you think might come next?
I mean, based on a lot of the comments, I agree with a lot of the comments here. Everybody's saying 70 to 200 f 2.8. I kind of feel that'll be the next one because that's been out pretty much the longest, and it is. It's a fantastic lens. When I first tried that lens many years ago, that was a phenomenal lens. Sharpness, image quality, I mean, just overall rendering was beautiful. But I do feel it's a bit long in size and in weight, and it'd be nice to bring they make one shorter, a bit more compact. That'd be awesome. So I think hopefully that'll be the next lens that comes. I would love to see them redo the 51.2. I think it's just really too big. I think that now what we're seeing from the likes of Sony and other brands out there, make it more short, compact. Give us a nice, good size 51.2 would be great. It's a great option as well. But those are the two lenses for me.
What if they gave us a 51.0 or something?
I think it would be too big, just too much. It'd be too big, and I think autofocus would be. People would complain because of 1.0 on an autofocus lens. I mean, Canon did it years ago. It's just too hard to nail focus. And I feel like, people would complain it just wouldn't be worth it. At 1.2, I feel is the sweet spot for autofocusing, still where you get really good performance, but at the same time, really nice depth of field. So I don't know. That's just my take, though. Yeah.
Now, Jim is saying, I wonder if the new 24 to 70 2.8 will focus faster in low light. So I've used the lens. I made a video. I shot it in low light. I didn't test it per se. But the focus motors genuinely are faster. And, of course, we know that cameras like the Z6 III and others have the capacity to focus in pretty low light. So it's a mix of the camera, but seeing, because it's the camera that sees, not the lens. And then the lens reacts to what the camera tells it. So the cameras are very good at doing it in low light, and this lens focuses faster because it's got these faster motors. So the compilation of those two things, I would say that yes it is. So that's my answer to that one. We've got a question from John Ishii. Any news on your side regarding the X2D II issues? And DJI on my side, no, nothing. Not surprised. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I think, John, I think you're just gonna have to wait it out. The camera just came out a little bit. Obviously there will be firmware updates, but I think for the most part, the reception's been very positive on this camera, for what it's offered and what it is. And so look, every camera system will have features that we want them to have, or they don't have yet. I mean, but we just have to say, look, DJI has been based on their track record on the X series of cameras, they've been pretty consistent in updating these cameras quite consistently, I would say. That's consistent. Yeah, I said that too many times. But yes, I said that too many times there, Matt. It's too early in the morning, but I would say that, look out, just give them some time. They're getting feedback from the customers. Like all new releases, they take the feedback, and then from there, they decide what features they need to prioritize to get out to the public on firmware updates. And so I think that let's just wait it out. But I mean, for the most part, the cameras, it's sold out in a lot of places. They're back ordered. The 35 to 100 is back ordered as well. it's a very popular camera, and it's coming in less expensive than the X2D. But I think we're talking about that later on in the show, so I don't want to get too much into that, Matt. But that's just to answer his question. Yeah.
Yes. Very good. Carl asks, not a photo question, but Bobby, did you start Chaparral as a freshman? I only asked to see if this is a small world. I was a teacher at Chap then.
Yeah, Carl. Yes, I did. Yeah, I was a freshman. I graduated in '94. So if you were there, Carl, during that time, we've got to talk because it'd be interesting to hear. Because I know Carl's from Vegas, and I graduated in '94, but I went to Woodbury junior high, and then I went over to Chaparral as a freshman all the way till my senior year.
Oh, lovely. Here we are.
I know.
Connecting the dots. That's just so cute. I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys exchange numbers offline or whatever you need to do.
Exactly.
John Ishii, he says, I'm getting the 24-70. Why not? And Jim says, paying for new 24-72 by selling version 1 and my 14-30, which I never use. So new lens won't be a huge bite out of my nest egg. Yeah, well, fair enough.
Nice.
I'm certainly I'm contemplating doing the same thing. I'm contemplating selling my 24, my original. Not because there's anything wrong with it, but, as John says, why not?
Why not?
Go
for it, Matt. Come on, Matt. Get it sold today.
Yeah. No, not today. I've got other things to worry about. Harumph says, fair. Industries don't always like disclosing too much detail as well. I can't quite recall what that's related to. Sorry, Harumph. Or is that just humph? Humph. Can't quite tell. Jay's asking us, do you want to read Jay's one? Although you'll have to scroll up. Or can you see it? I don't know what you can see there.
I got everything here. Let me just say.
Live that dream.
I'm living that dream here. I'm living that dream. I see a lot of 72.8.
And please make sure you hit the like button and all of that magic stuff. Go subscribe to Bobby.
What are we seeing? Where are we at on this one? I don't see it here.
J Blue. It doesn't matter. I'll read it. In answer to the VJ question, the patent doesn't describe a physical change to the mount. It is a modification in lens camera comm protocols, which will be benefit for video. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Jay, for that. Totally. If they were to add, another. Where is my thing? Here's my thing. This is my thing.
There's your thing. Get your thing out.
My thing out when we were talking about.
Your thing.
Talking about anyway, see how that has those little connectors on the top there. Maybe,
I see those.
Jay, is that what they're talking about? Maybe adding one, like you could easily add one or two more of those, so you have more communication highways, and it wouldn't impact old lenses because they'd just ignore them, and new lenses that had the extra contacts could do more things. So sure. That's totally possible, that sort of thing, because it fits without changing the physical lens. It's still backwardly compatible, blah, blah, blah. But I've definitely heard nothing about it. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows what's coming out of the skunk works, Bobby? Who knows?
I know. We got a question here. This to me here from Markman05. Looks like, Bobby, what do you think Nikon needs to do to improve on their cameras, both for photography and videography? That's a loaded question. Gosh. I think they need to come out with some smaller lenses. I think that would definitely help bringing more people to they've been doing it with the 35 1.4, the 50 1.4, but I think getting smaller lenses as a whole would help. I think kind of simplifying the menu system. I think they've got so many features that most people, when I talk to people that tried Nikon for the first time, they're a little bit overwhelmed and trying to figure out where everything is at. So if they could find a new way to navigate the menu system in a more user-friendly way, I think that would help. And I think for video, it's like if they could put some RED technology in there. I mean, they bought RED. They've acquired RED. Let's see what they can do for video technology. That'd be absolutely awesome if they could do that. And I think if they do something like that, that would definitely shake up the industry. So those are the things I think they could do. But Matt, what about you? Throwing it to Matt. What do you think, my friend? Based on the data that you have.
I agree with most of what you said. I don't have a big problem with the menus, but everything else is sorry, I was reading comments. What were just bullet point me the things you said. You said menus, red tech,
and size of lenses.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah, look, I can't. That's all fair. Menus I'm okay with. I think Look, when I did my comparison video between the R6 II, the A7 IV, and the Nikon, you know, the learning curve when you first, especially when you want to do complicate, like I was trying to get these cameras to match, which means I had to do the deepest dives into these cameras to ensure that the settings were the same. And it really hurts your head. It really hurts your head when you go into a different brand. And it doesn't matter, you know, how good X brand might be. If you've never used it before, it hurts your head. So, and now, Bobby, I'm trying to do it with 4 cameras, and they all do things, and I have to stress, they all do things differently. Like some of the, like obviously aperture and shutter and ISO are pretty similar, but once you get into slightly more, like how do you do pre-capture, and what are your different raw choices? Even there, you know, how do you do all the different video codecs? They actually don't do them the same. They like Sony will tell you they'll tell you bit rates, and so will Panasonic, but Canon kind of don't, and Nikon don't. Some of them have H.265, but some of them don't. Some of them have ProRes, but some of them don't. Some of them shoot cropped 60. Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, no, I mean, I think when you go into video specs, I think Sony is the most vague out of everybody. And they're coding with the HS and the I. It's like it's
those terms, like they mean nothing.
The terms make no sense at all. You have no idea if it's an H.265, 264, if it's high bit rate, low bit rate. You just don't know. You have to go online to understand what those terms are. I would love to see them simplify that. With that said, I mean, and someone says it here right here as well. Rad says it. Nikon should consider Hassie's menu UI UX. Yeah, and this is the thing, Matt. Have you ever tried the X2D or the X1D or any of the X series menu systems?
I have, but it's been a long time, and I do remember them being beautiful.
Beautiful and simple and very intuitive. It's very touch, large icons, and yes, I think that would definitely help a lot. The problem is with Nikon is they've got very different user settings. So A, B, C, D, then you go into the video. It's just, they've got so much in their cameras versus Hasselblad, which is primarily photography. Nikon's got video on top of that. But it would be nice to, for example, when you're in the photo mode, you have no video settings, just all photo. Switch, it goes right to video. That would be nice to separate the two, and that might clean up the menu system a bit more. I mean, look, I mean, if you're used to the Nikon system, it's not a big deal. If you're used to the Canon system, it's not a big deal. But for people that are into the camera system that are brand new, it's going to be very different, you know? Yeah. So it's something to consider. Yeah.
Always. It's, you know, you buy a new car and they move the blinker stalk, we call it the indicator stalk, and it's on the other side, and you know, you're constantly pressing on the windscreen wipers because you've changed from a car that's made in Asia versus to a car that's made in Europe, right? You would have experienced that problem. Does that happen on surely it happens on left-hand drive cars as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, when I go back and forth, it's just I have to reconfigure my brain when I start driving in another country based on where I'm at. So yeah, it throws me off. Yeah. But I mean, look, this is something I think all camera manufacturers need to work on is UI, and it is just I think when you look at it, like a Hasselblad are probably the most simplest and most easiest to use, but they don't have all the features that you want in other cameras that some people want. So again, it's finding that balance of having the features that people want to use, but at the same time, making it more user-friendly because the problem that we're having is bringing new people into photography, which I think a lot of the brands want to do. They want to bring this new generation, but if they're used to smartphones and navigation through a smartphone, this more archaic or more, I would say, well, archaic, but in ways, this structured menu system of years past that has been carried over to all the mirrorless cameras doesn't compute to a lot of younger minds. They don't understand it as much. So I think that might be something that's worth considering. Just my little rant for the day.
No, it's very valid to say we live in an iPhone or smartphone centric universe, and that's what we're used to. And you know, essentially, that's what Hasselblad's doing. It's icon based. DJI does a fair bit of icon based menus as well. I get it. Yeah. And you know, maybe if any of these companies can put the time and effort into having sort of an icon-based menu, or you can flip to a list-based menu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so to actually go back to the question, video. Look, I agree in regards to lenses. Like I was shooting on the Z6 III with my 85mm, and I chose to shoot the 85mm 1.8 instead of the 1.2, just simply due to the size and weight difference.
Yeah.
You and I have both got the same gimbal, the RS4 Mini, and even so it could take the weight. It was you that pointed out to me it's actually about space for everything to move within the gimbal, and that was the issue. It takes the weight, but there's no space for everything to spin around. So yes, it's a fair call that. But you know, it's interesting in a way. The 1.8 lenses are actually perfect for the gimbal use case. And I suppose what I would like to see is, you know, maybe within a few years, those updated, because I do think there's probably some new technologies with faster motors, which takes me to the question here from James Brown. This is a segue to James Brown's question, which is, do you think Nikon will be using the Silky Swift motors in all of the new revised Z lenses? I definitely think there's a chance we'll see them in S lenses, because they're more expensive, and it, you know, it would be cool. It would be cool if they did that.
I agree.
Also, let's face it, from a marketing and sales perspective, these
Silky Swift. That's a name. Silky Swift.
It is a name. It is a name.
That's a name. That's a name there, Matt. Silky Swift. I want the Silky Swift autofocusing system.
Damn it. Go, girl.
Yeah, girl.
Yes.
Woo.
Yes. So they need reasons to sell things, so they can say, look, we got the Silky Swift in this now. You got to go there. You got to go there. You know, the 85-18, it's got the Silky Swift. So
is that what it's really called? Is that what it's really called?
It's really called that. It's let me Google that for you, and I'll show you. Silky Swift focus motor.
I gotta love it. Somebody in marketing was like, "We just got to name it this because it will stick in everybody's mind, no matter what they say." Nikon Silky Swift. That's how you're gonna just remember Nikon for the going forward. Silky Swift. It's a Silky Swift camera.
I'm trying to find the damn thing. Where is it? Yeah. Look, it's because like Sony. What's Sony call their really fast ones? You know, they've got a more technical sort of name. I can't remember what it is.
I don't even. I just say they're more improved autofocus motors in my reviews. I can't even get through all the names. I just can't go through all of it. It's just nuts.
Yeah,
but it's Silky Swift, I'll remember. Yeah, Silky Swift, I'll remember.
Well, that might be the point, isn't it? But here it is, Bobby, on the web page for the 400 2.8. You're not going to see it in a
Silky
little while,
Swift.
but I've just highlighted it there. It'll appear for you in a second. But the Silky Swift voice coil motors. And it has, the other thing about this focus system is that it has, they have an optical system to actually see where the lens is at, and that's part of its accuracy as well. So literally there's something monitoring where the lens elements are to make sure that they're accurate. So not only does it have these motors, but it has eyes on where the elements are. Anyway, nice. I think we answered that question. VJ has another question for us, Bobby, which is you go.
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
Let me find that one because we had a lot of conversations here today. Which is fantastic.
It's about 7 from the bottom. It's about 7 from the bottom.
7 from the bottom. Okay.
8, 7, 8.
8. VJ,
big question.
With Nikon continuing to upgrade their camera bodies, do you feel that the used prices will hold more than in the past? I just bought a Nikon D4 with 20K on the shutter for about $800. I mean, look, all camera brands are not going to, I mean, all cameras out there, except for maybe a couple, don't hold the value as much as in the past. I mean, especially in the mirrorless game. So I think if you're looking at a Z7 and Z6, for example, I mean, you can get those, you know, I wouldn't say pennies on the dollar, but they're really affordable. And obviously the Mark II versions of these cameras will hold some value, but you don't buy a camera for investment unless it's a collector's camera. These things will drop in value because the market is such. I mean, the more higher price an item becomes, the more that it will drop in value, especially if it's a common product. And you're seeing that with every brand out there. Nikon, Canon, Sony, even Leica to some degree. They do drop in price. So, yeah, I would say that's how I feel about it, yeah.
I mean, yeah. So is the question, will secondhand things be cheaper because products are coming out faster? Is that sort of the crux of the question?
I guess
I was
so,
reading
but then
comments.
again, like, yeah, I'm trying to figure it out too, exactly what BJ was asking on that one, but I guess it's around
Yeah,
that. But I
well,
guess, yeah. I mean, it's technology. Everything is cheaper, you know? Yeah.
yeah. I think look at I don't know the current price of a Z7, but when it came out in this country, it was something like I paid $5 or $6 grand for it, and now you can get them
Yeah.
for $2 grand. So
Yeah.
that seems like a pretty affordable camera considering it's a very good sensor in that thing.
Yeah.
Rad says, I think Nikon should use AI to rebuild their UI and UX. Jim says Nikon's menu system is pretty logical, and I think many don't take the time to really understand why the menus are laid out, in his opinion. Ray says, I can't figure out my iPhone menu. Sorry, go on, Bobby.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think again, it depends on everybody's mindset. And if you have the camera for a long period of time, you understand it. It's really not about, it's not about the people that already own the camera. They've had it for years, or the system, they've owned it for years. It's about bringing new people in, because that's what these brands need to do. They're constantly trying to attract a new generation, a different user that maybe was on Canon to go into Nikon, or maybe they're a new person looking for a compact to go into a full frame mirrorless system. It's this market that they're trying to grow. And that's where the UI, UX will be a bit more of a challenge for that mindset. If you've been shooting Nikon, like Jim's probably been shooting Nikon for years, he gets it. He understands it. He could go probably close his eyes and go through the menu system and know where things are at based on his just, muscle memory. But for the new person, it may be a bit more challenging. Just putting that out there. Yeah.
VJ says, will the constant updating of firmware keep the prices higher than in the past is what I was getting at.
Well, hard to say.
I think it will, while a Z6 III, a Z8, I think the value will stay higher while there's no Z6 IV and Z8 II, and then yeah, but it's a bit hard to say because we're actually still in the first generation of all XP7 cameras, and they were such a major difference. So we really need to start seeing the second generation of XP7 cameras. But, that might be actually XP8. So I think it's too hard to say because we're living in a different world, basically. But certainly XP6 cameras are really good value now, I would say.
Yeah.
Kent is asking, any predictions on what the next Z9 will be? No, I think we'll leave that for another episode. What do you think?
It'll be a full frame. It'll be a full frame camera. It'll have many function buttons. It'll be it'll have a nice display, a very good EVF, and it will take even more vertical grip. And I think it'll probably take faster burst rate, and it'll probably be a bit different than the 45 megapixels. But that's just my guess. But that's all we know right now.
Yeah, I think all those things are spot on, Bobby. Well done. Well done.
Thank you,
now,
man. Thanks.
We did have a few other things on our agenda to talk about, so maybe it's time to segue. Shall we segue somewhere else?
Let's segue. Let's take a trip down another topic, shall we?
Yes. Let's do it. Now, Viltrox. There's an interesting announcement from Viltrox, Bobby, and I mean, who doesn't love Viltrox for how they're shaking the tree of everything?
They're shaking it.
They're I didn't quite have time to confirm whether they have joined the L Alliance or they want to join.
They have joined. It is official now, yes. And the two lenses that they're coming out with are a little bit like, that's it? Like, I thought they would come out with the 135-1.8, the 35-1.2, you know what I mean, the 85-1.4. I thought they would come out on a big bang, but they didn't. They came out with these... This is a 28 and 40 something. I was like, that's the first two lenses out for the L mount, huh? I feel like that was a missed opportunity, in my opinion. I would have loved to see them come out with their pro lenses and or their what's the other terminal? What's the lens we have? The 135. What is it called? What's the front?
Planner.
No. The Viltrox, the 135. It's called what series of lenses is it called? Lab. I thought they would come with the lab lens right out the gate in L mount and really make and shake things up, but they didn't. And I feel like missed opportunity there. That's just my take.
Yeah, no, fair enough. The only lens I'm seeing here on their site is the 20mm f2. Maybe it's so new it's not for sale yet.
Let me see. Let me see what it is. I did see. Let me say I was on Leica rumors. If I'm
here
not
we go.
mistaken.
Leica is actually making a statement about a formal statement, which is I'll throw it up on the screen. Which is Viltrox joins the L mount alliance and utilize the L mount standard to develop Leica camera AG. Sorry, developed by Leica camera AG in future product development. So that essentially means you're going to be able to stick a Viltrox on a Leica. That's interesting, isn't it, Bobby?
That's why I said they should have come out with that's why they should have come out with the lab series first, because I think the optics on that would have really done well with it. So I'm hearing, do they say the lenses? I saw it somewhere where they did mention the lenses that they're going to come out with, but I don't know yet. But they weren't like wow lenses for me. They were just okay, they're just kind of like an entry level lens, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
all right, moving on from that, Canon. Bobby.
Yeah, Canon.
Let's throw up
the
this
rumored
little
C50.
Well, it's not. I mean, yes, the C50 part's rumored. The fact that something's coming, because here is Canon UK's Instagram page. I've just thrown up on the screen, and we have a picture here that is clearly got a tally light on it. It clearly has no EVF. Well,
must be video. Must be video.
Well, look at that big red button there, Bobby. Look at that big red button.
What does that mean?
Well, I think it means Santa Claus. Does it mean Santa Claus?
It could be for some Canon users. It could mean Santa Claus for some of them.
Yeah. Anyway, the rumors are a thing called a C50. Now, first I saw rumors saying it's going to be an R5C, and I'm like, really? They're going to make an 8K camera? And then the rumors changed to it being a 32 megapixel or 33 megapixel camera, which is another weird number because that's 7K. So you can't make it 8. So essentially you're going to just deliver 6K. What do you think about all this, Bobby?
It reminds me of, Matt, there was this camera that launched, I think it was last year, and there was all these rumors of it being 60 megapixels, 70 megapixel, maybe 85 megapixel. It was getting the fastest sports camera in the existence of sports cameras. Canon was going to change the game. And then all of a sudden, the R1 launched at 24 megapixels. Oh yes. God. Yes. And yes, it had better autofocus, but was it much better than the RF5 II? And the answer is, in some ways, yes, and in many ways, no. So I feel like the Canon rumors don't have a lot of ground to hold on in terms of weight or reliability. And I would say that basically we're hearing that it's open gate, it's going to have anamorphic support, it's going to have all this other stuff. I would say hold your horses, because based on the previous experiences with Canon rumors, a lot of it is not 100% true. So maybe it will be very good. I'm sure it will be a very good video-centric camera. It looks like it's going to take on the FX3. It could have open gate. That doesn't surprise me if it does or not. It's not usually Canon's thing to do that, but maybe they'll add something new to the mix. But I don't expect it to be I think it will be more of a product announcement with maybe some teasing to it, but I don't think we'll see full reviews on it. I could be wrong, but based on what I experienced with the R1 and the R5 II, they were hands-on, but we were limited on what we could talk about with the camera system, and that could be the case for this new camera. So, yeah, just putting that out there, that I think that could be something out there, But I'm sure they're going to come out. Everybody wants an answer to the FX3. I think it's safe to say that what Sony's done with the FX3 is they've sort of changed the game when it comes to video out there. Small, compact, very robust, no overheating issues with it. It's been used in Hollywood films out there. It's a tried and tested camera system, but it's primarily a video camera with not a lot of photography aspects to that. Will Canon follow that suit and just make this more primarily video, or will they make it a true hybrid? Remains to be seen. But yeah, that's my take, man. What's your take? What's your thoughts on this, Matt?
I think you've nailed it. I think you nailed the whole kit and caboodle. The only thing I thought about while you were talking about that is that the initial actual rumors came from Sony Alpha rumors, which is
our favorite guy.
Yeah, and they were which is kind of weird to me that, let's say somebody's leaking Canon info, but they leak it to not a Canon channel. Canon, rumors. So, and so then then Canon Rumors picked up what he said and just re-aggregated all of that. So,
yeah,
definitely something's coming. Definitely it's video related. Beyond that, we'll see.
But you know what?
Definitely.
You know what I think though? I do think having a launch on September 9th is not smart.
Yeah.
It is not smart. That is iPhone day. Everybody knows it. If you're a brand, why would you? So that's where I think this may not be it just might be a product announcement and not a full-on launch. Because why would you put this out on the same day Apple's launching all these new products? Right? Like, you're not going to get any buzz out there, maybe from the camera community, but not a lot. Right? Everyone's going to be looking at the iPhone, even people that are in the, what's Apple coming out with? Is it a new watch? Is it a new phone? What, they don't know. Right? But that just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense unless it's just an announcement that they are coming out with something and that's it. So that's my take. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. Should we do a poll, Matt?
Oh, is Bobby wrong poll? Interesting. I love it. Yeah, well, we can vote on that. We can vote on whether we should do that. No, I'm joking. Roy asked, did we discuss how the ZF has gone grey with age? Yes, we did, Roy.
Yeah, Roy.
Just go back to the start of the stream. Joe says, next Tuesday isn't a long time to wait to find out about Canon. No, it's not. And I think that's actually really logical to if you're going to release a major product at the same time that Tim Cook's standing on stage and you're there looking at him, Bobby, just doesn't seem to make sense, does it?
It doesn't at all, unless they're doing maybe some partnership with Apple and with this, who knows, some new spatial camera. I don't know, but honestly, I don't think that's it. I really think, I don't think so. I just think the timing of this is really off. I really, really do, unless it's just an announcement they're going to do in a press release with maybe like kind of what they did with the R1, where they had Peter McKinnon and a couple other people go on and talk about a camera that they didn't have in their hands. That was very odd. Remember that R1 announcement? That was very odd. Yeah.
I do. Okay, let's move along from that. We're all going to find out, and we can talk about it next week. What is
we will.
The new Canon? Hasselblad. Now, the reason we're going to talk about Hasselblad again is because, Bobby, you spent some quality, personal, intimate time with the new Hasselblad. I believe you had the new lens as well, didn't you? Just share with us. Share with us. Now, you had pre-production firmware, so we have to keep that into account. And we know sometimes firmware really is pre-production, like it really isn't the final version, depending on how early we get to see stuff.
Yeah, so what happened is that, as I guessed, I was using pre-production firmware. When the camera was launched, there was a firmware update for the camera body right away and for the lenses as well. So it was one of those things where I think a lot of the other people that were working with Hasselblad that had cameras in their hands they worked out an agreement with Hasselblad, the part of the Hasselblad family, so to speak. They probably had the latest firmware. I didn't have it. I have to say, there's a lot of talk about tariffs out there and talk about price increases. And here comes DJI/Hasselblad with a camera with more features, lighter autofocus. The first time we're seeing it in a camera body like this, and coming in less expensive. So it made. I think that people have not talked about this as much as I think it should be talked about. Everyone's just using tariffs as an excuse for price increases, and sure, everybody's supply chain is different. We don't know what's going on, but for DJI Hasselblad to do this, to come in less expensive than the previous version with more features, does make you think which companies are increasing prices for the sake of profitability and what are making it because of tariffs. That's one aspect. The camera, in terms of performance, I liked it. The autofocus with the 35-100 for me was off, but it has been fixed with the firmware update to some extent. Also, with the front dial was having some issues where it would automatically just change aperture very easily. That's also been fixed as well. I like the camera. I have been a big fan of the Hasselblad system for quite some time. I don't work with Hasselblad, so I'm not in that family, so to speak. But I've been a big fan of them since the very beginning. And the image quality, the color science is second to none. And I think what they've done with this camera is they are really going after Fujifilm in a big way and other bigger players out there than the more premium luxury camera space. And I think based on the numbers that I'm seeing, I mean, all the pre-orders were sold out here in Singapore right away. Japan sold out. China was sold out. So it's making some moves. And I think the more that they come out with these more aggressive pricings, more aggressive lenses in terms of pricing, and they keep expanding on their lineup, I mean, because think about it for a second. Just from a branding perspective, would you rather own Fujifilm or own a Hasselblad? I think a lot of people would rather own a Hasselblad. And now that the price point is really coming after Fujifilm on the GFX system, and Fujifilm is supposed to raise the prices of the GFX system even more, I don't know. It makes a very interesting argument. Which one would you go for? You know what I mean? I think a lot of people would choose Hasselblad. I mean, colors, I prefer Hasselblad because they don't have, I like the film simulations of Fujifilm, but I like having the Hasselblad natural color solutions where it's just exactly what your eye sees. If you're shooting product photography, commercial photography, you're getting what you need versus having to change and work with all these film simulations that Fujifilm has in their camera. To me, it does make it a little bit cumbersome. I mean, it can be fixed, it can be tweaked, but Hasselblad does make it much more enticing for commercial photographers and working photographers in that regard. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, and look, talking about the pricing, part of my sort of running a company brain says to me,
yes,
I think Hasselblad have probably lost market and mind share in the last, since 35 mil, like probably in the last 5 years sort of thing. And DJI, who are an enormous company with enormous resources, buying power, manufacturing power, they are a majority stakeholder now in Hasselblad, and they're going, well, we're going to drive market by dropping the price. So I don't think it's, I don't think this is related to tariffs per se. I think it's related to, we've brought out a new product. We want to now get some attention. We saw Nikon do this with the Z9 4 years ago before tariffs was a thing. They brought in an aggressive price.
Yeah, they did, but yeah, they did. I think what Hasselblad's doing, or DJI is doing, is they're doing the DJI marketing campaign where they're getting the cameras in people's hands, and they're either it's barter trade, exchanging it for content, for video content, photography content, whatever it is. They're getting it in people's hands. Previously, Hasselblad never did this at all. If you were lucky to borrow that camera, if you could borrow it, it was very exclusive, very elusive, and as a result, didn't have much fanfare, outside of the core Hasselblad user space. But now that they're expanding it to the mass market, so to speak, to people that don't even shoot Hasselblad, I mean, it's getting more eyeballs, and I think that's what DJI did so successfully with the drones, with the gimbals, with the Pocket 3, with all their products, and they're now doing it with the X2D and X2D II. And I think that this is going to be a shift in how we see cameras being marketed. I think we're going to see more brands probably taking up what Hasselblad is doing and getting cameras in people's hands a lot easier, a lot faster, and maybe for more long-term usage to get more videos out there.
Definitely. I mean, that's a different subject to pricing specifically, and I agree with that. And I saw a lot of creators being sent Hasselblads over the last year, obviously, as the previous X2D was becoming end of life. They were sending a lot of them out, and so yes, there's no question. If you want to have more eyes on a product, you send it to more people to do it. So I totally agree with that. Now, I just wanted to throw up Roy's comment, which was what happened. He said, "What happened to photography? We now only discuss new camera gear instead of taking images." So Roy, I don't know whether that's aimed specifically at what we're doing here today or life in general. For me, I take images probably something like at least 2 or 3 days a week, and some of those, a lot of those images end up in the videos that I make. This particular live stream is about a mix of everything. Sometimes we actually jump into Photoshop or whatever and do a little bit of technique. But also this is about the latest news and speculation on what's going on. So, in regards to what happens on this channel, there's a bit of everything, and it's each episode has a different use case, a different application. As for photography as a whole, well, Something that I'm working on, and I've talked about in a previous episode, is, and I'm just going to grab a thing that happens to be here next to me from last time I showed it on a live stream. This device is going to allow me to walk around with a camera and plug it in and live stream me shooting. So that's my plan on how to address that. Now, I'll get that happening. But yeah, here we talk about gear and we nerd out about gear and we talk about rumors and we talk about news and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about, Roy, but let us know if that's what you mean. The world in general.
I guess what from my take, what Roy said, and I think that obviously right now this is a peak time of year with a lot of new products coming out. There's gonna be a lot of talk about gear. I mean, this is towards the holiday season. You know what I mean? We're talking that September, October, November timeframe. So there's gonna be a lot more talk. But obviously it comes down to taking good photos and learning lighting and learning composition and all those kind of things. The gear can help make that easier for some people, but also still comes down to the basic knowledge. But the reality of it is that this is just a peak time for products right now. And it's an exciting time for technology. So I think both of us, Matt, and we talked about this offline, we're both technology nerds. We love tech. We love innovation. And I think in this space especially, you can talk about how to compose a photograph all day long, but it's also fun to talk about the tech behind the product that we're using to help us along the way. And it doesn't take away from the photography. It just makes it a little bit more of another aspect to it. That's just my take on it, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting because I love cars, I love technology, and I love driving cars. And, I will equally talk about, both aspects of it. I don't know. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that up there to I don't want to ignore it. I want to acknowledge it. I
awesome.
probably shoot more than most people, and I think and Bobby, you'd probably agree with this. One of the hardest things to do in this space is to actually turn what we do in the field into something that we can then present. It's quite hard to do. Most of the time there's nobody filming us. So when we're actually doing what we're doing, we're doing it rather than it's complicated. It's complicated to do. Live streaming with this thing, I'll just say quickly, live streaming with this thing might absolutely crash and burn. So we'll see how we go, right? It could be as boring as hell. Who knows?
Yeah, I think here's the thing that some people don't understand, and you're absolutely right, is like as single content creators like ourselves, when I go out and I shoot with cameras, I shoot a lot during the week. I'm testing things all the time, lenses and cameras and all this stuff. But it's very hard to bring a tripod with me in the middle of a street while I'm walking the streets and set it up and walk around and pretend to take photos. It's very hard to do that. And if I hire somebody, it can cost me anywhere from $150 to $200 to follow me around for 4 hours while I'm shooting. Mm-hmm. And then I'm recording video on top of that. And if you consider that how much we make on YouTube or how little we make on YouTube, that's a big expense. If I want to do 4 videos a month, I got to spend at least $500-$600, someone following me around and taking video. It's tough. It's not easy. I'm not saying that as an excuse as why we don't do this, but I'm also putting this out there in perspective so people understand that, it'd be great to have a buddy or a friend of mine that I could say, here, can you film me out there? Yeah, sure. No problem. We'll go grab a lunch. But a lot of time people want to get paid, and fair enough. It's their time and they should be paid. But it's also up to us to say we don't have the budget to do that. Now, some channels are making a lot of money and they can be like, hey, I can pay somebody $2,000-$3,000 a month and they can just follow me around and shoot photos and videos. Great. If I had that, my content would be completely different. And I would love to get into that space. And hopefully sometime maybe this year I can get into that space. But right now I'm just not there. So a couple of times on some bigger videos, I will hire somebody. If it's a big launch, I will hire somebody to walk around and they'll follow me. But I also have to take into consideration, it's costly. It adds a lot of money. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this is just us simply talking about the practicalities, and that's what I'm trying. It's just practicalities. It's not, Bobby and I behind the scenes talk a lot about we wish we could do things bigger on a bigger scale and all that sort of stuff, and we want to, but the practicalities are is just simply cost, and we're all faced with exactly the same situation. Although I do feel quite honoured, Bobby, that when I visited you in Singapore and we made our video, I think you hired somebody, so I was obviously something big and important. I really appreciate that.
No, my pleasure.
It was a great video, by the way.
Yeah, it was great, and I think it was great to have that too, because it was something that, I mean, obviously it was a big deal that you were here. I wanted to capture us walking around, and it's very hard to walk around the streets and put a tripod and a camera up.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
especially here, people will be like, take that away, move that around. You know, we're working here. So it's challenging. And
Well,
Carl says there are many channels to view techniques of photography. Yeah, I mean, there definitely is a lot of techniques out there. You know what I mean? What I say, Thomas Heaton and Nigel Dawson don't have crews, Bobby. No, but they go to the mountains. And if you're going to go to the mountains and just walk around, that's fine. But we're doing street photography. It's a little bit different there, Stefan. A little bit different. You know?
yeah.
You know?
If I put a tripod down and walked 30 feet away from it, it would be stolen. So that's what would happen.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be gone, and I would be running after them with 4 cameras and a backpack. No chance. It'd just be gone.
And I think also, Stephen, you have to understand is where we're located at versus where they're located at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, if you live in the mountains,
they're in the hills of England where there's no humans for, 27 miles. Whereas I shoot in places where there's humans. And look, when I shoot in the middle of the night, I do that, but not during the day. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all part of the rich tapestry of how we're all different. Our channels are all different. The way we shoot is all different, and the geographies that we're in are all different. And we all just have to play to the world around us. Essentially, the use case around us.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, we'll move on from that. But look, I think Bobby and I would both agree that in a way, it's nice to be able to share a little bit of the behind the scenes of how this comes about, because it's not all what's the term for where everything's peachy? It's not all sparkles and candy, fairy floss. Anyway, I've had Kent's question up there for a very long time. And Kent, what is that? Is that bolognese and pasta in your little icon there? I'd love to know what your picture on your icon is. Is it cheese?
Yeah.
Is it macaroni with bolognese sauce? Anyway, important question. But Kent says, what do you gurus think about the 200 Laowa versus the Sigma? Well, interestingly, Matt Grange has done that for us, even so it's not released yet. The Laowa.
Yeah.
Isn't that right? And I haven't watched that, Bobby. Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did. I from my understanding from Laowa, the lens was okay to be teased, but I don't think that it was meant to be used in a comparison video. Now, again, I don't know what Matt Granger's relationship with Laowa is like, but based on my conversation with Laowa, they are sending me a beta of the lens soon, but they said it's a beta. Please, this is a beta. You can tease it, but leave it at that. So I think that here's my take on it, right? And this is no disrespect to anybody out there. Everybody's, some people get access to certain products before other people, and that's how it is, right? There's no problem with that. But I also do understand if a product has not been officially announced yet, and I don't think it's fair to do a full comparison. And now, again, to Granger's credit, he did say that it is a pre-production, it is beta, they're going to fix the firmware, but you're still doing a comparison. And to some viewers out there, they're already looking at it like it's a comparison video, and it's not fair to Laowa, it's not fair to anybody else. And so, while I get it, it does garner views and clicks, and it does get people intrigued, I don't know if it necessarily was fair to Laowa. You know what I mean? So that's just my take. But again, it's interesting to see the lens. It has a little bit some different features than the Sigma. And I'll be excited to try it out when I do get it. But again, it's a beta, and they did tell me that it's not going to be final. Maybe some tweaks will be done to the body of the lens. Some tweaks will be done to the image quality of it. And they did let me know that in advance. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Rainbows and unicorns, Craig said. Absolutely rainbows and unicorns. So I've got my own similar story on your take, Bobby, which is obviously I was allowed to do an early first look at the 24-70 2.8 version 2. And basically you and I are both told most of the time, these are pre-production. You've got to label the video, it's pre-production. And then people sort of came out and they're saying, why didn't you compare it with the old one? And one statement I made was, well, it's pre-production, so we don't even know if this is the final version. So why are you going to compare it when and I think what people don't realize is, and everybody does comparisons differently, But comparisons are really hard work. They are a lot of effort to do it as technically correct and as scientifically as possible. So you're not going to do a comparison unless you're doing it with the product that everybody gets to buy. It's kind of pointless doing it with a product that nobody will ever get to buy because it might be slightly different. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is sometimes we have a couple of days, in my case, or more with these products, but sometimes we have 2 hours or 4 hours, and a comparison is down the list of the things that you will do. You can do the comparison later, but people want, just taking a few, Bobby and I, Bobby will know this, but just getting a handful of awesome images can take all of the time that you have with the lens, just going out and walking around, whatever you're choosing to shoot. So some of it is just simple practicality, that making a proper comparison takes a long time and you just simply don't have time. And another one is security. The other thing is people don't realize that we've got NDA products, and NDA products, we've got to be careful when we go out and shoot with them. And if you're doing a comparison, you've got to set tripods up, everything's a lot slower, and that means the product is more visible for eyes getting on it, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of behind the scenes machinations that just make it hard. And a year or two ago, there was a bit of a movement that I think came from people like Gerald Undone, that people that get NDA products, they shouldn't be called reviews. And I agree with that. And that's why mine are now called first look or first impressions, because you're just sort of working under a whole different set of parameters, and you're just not as free to do exactly what you want. And it's not because the companies are doing that to you. It's just because of, security, not wanting to see it, time constraints, launch dates. Like, there's all these constraints that are very different to a product that's now released. So that's my take. There you go. That's my story in regards to all that sort of stuff. It's actually, I think, less useful for the end user to see a comparison with a product that isn't the final product. Ultimately, and you said this, Bobby, because if they jump into a video and they don't really take in that it's pre-production, because you only say it once or twice, or you might write it on the screen, that's it, then they might take this as gospel. That's the lens, and then they go, oh, well, it's rubbish, and they forget that it's pre-production, and then they don't buy it. So that's my take on all of that. That was a long rant, but it's an important one to me.
No, I agree, and I think that I 100% of what you said, you are absolutely correct on that. And I just think that when the lens does come, and it does come out, I mean, give Laowa the time to finalize it. And you're right. A comparison is only valid when you actually have a production version of that lens that's being sold to public, that they can buy, that you can also compare with something out there. Then that's when you do a comparison. You don't do it because not everybody watches all the videos. Not everybody watches from the beginning to the end. They don't know if you, like you said, if you say it in the beginning, you say in the middle, or whatever, and they tune in whatever, they don't see it. And then that causes an issue. And it's not fair to the companies. It's really not. And I feel like as content creators in this space, yes, we have NDAs. Yes, companies do tell us what they prefer us to show and not show. And you can try to be Mr. Journalist and say, no, I'm only going to do it my way, and that's it. Or you can say, hey, look, I respect it. I respect the opportunity to get this product in advance. I adhere to your protocols. Mention that this is a pre-production. Be very clear about it. You know what I mean? Do not do comparisons, and other people don't care. And that's just how it is. But I'd rather take the former and be more respectful to the company and to the time and build a relationship, versus then get a few clicks and a few thousand views, and then in the future, nobody's going to trust me. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, and here, to your point, Ray has said the Laowa didn't show well in that video. So that, and Ray's an independent third party who has watched this video, and that's his take from it. So
it's not fair.
We've seen this time and time again, and there's another layer on top of this, that people will skew things just for the sake of getting more clicks, and that's a whole other discussion that we won't get into today. But yeah, it's an interesting space, and I think what I've observed by watching some of the big YouTubers is their views and their audience seem to be getting crunched, and what I'm seeing some of them do is just the hype and the let's say the clickability of things is growing to sort of offset the fact that they're attempting to offset their change in their epic channels not being as epic as they used to. And it's creating a weird space to me of videos that are just creeping slowly. They're just creeping slowly to being, less, let's call it balanced. We'll just use that word. I don't know if you've observed that, but I'm seeing it with some channels. And yeah.
Of course, yeah. I mean, look, right now there's more creators on the platform than ever before. View counts are not as high as before. I mean, I was just watching Linus Tech Tips. He had a video yesterday that is talking about his views are down and he doesn't know what's going on. And the reality of it is that there are trends in this space. Creators come in and go, and there's a lot more people making content and a lot more options being fed to by the algorithm of YouTube. So it's going to be much more challenging to get the views than what we would get 2 to 3 years ago. It is what it is. And also too, there's a lot of brands out there that are putting out products and they're paying people to do videos, and they're not being completely honest about the products because they want to get paid. I've had to turn down 2 products right now. I have with me. One I had to send back. The other one I'm holding off because the product wasn't as described. And they're not camera related. They're tech related. But I just said, I'm sorry. It doesn't perform as you told me it was going to perform. And I'm not going to do a video on it because even though I'm losing money because I'm not getting the money for the video. But I said, I'd rather have my integrity of putting out a video on a product that I can believe in. And I can say, hey guys, this is worth looking at versus just give me a bunch of spec sheets and saying, this is what it will do, but it doesn't do. I don't do those kind of things. And so, but there are people that do. It is what it is.
I've definitely sent products back that that just was like, I'm sorry, but you're saying this is a helicopter, but it doesn't fly. We can't do this.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't do it. Markman says, I noticed not a lot of American YouTubers got the preview of the 24-70. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't really know why. It's possible that, like, Nikon's got a lot going on at the moment. Obviously, we've had Firmware 2 and we've had the new ZFs and the 24-70. And maybe they just thought it didn't need it. But I actually, look, having been one of the few people that actually went out, I'm going to have a bit of a rant about this lens because
go for it.
I've actually gone out and shot it in night and day into the sun, 24mm, 70mm, checked out the stabilization. This lens is prime level quality through the range, through the apertures. It's absolutely a prime lens S-class quality. And I haven't thought about the version 1 in that respect, but what I can tell you is things like chromatic aberration and flaring have been so suppressed that they are at prime levels. And I can tell you with my copy of the 24-70, the original Z, it is not at that is not at the same level. And so what Nikon have provided, even so people complain about it not being a 2.0 and whatever else, and it's, it is more expensive. It is a prime level, absolutely up there with almost or probably the best S-class primes. So we're talking the Planner. We're talking, it's better than the 50 because the 50's 4 years old now. The 51.2, it's better than that because it's got a little bit of aberrating. It might even be slightly better than the 85, right? So it's prime level optics. And the only thing that it doesn't have that those lenses have is that it's 2.8. And if you want a zoom that's so close to perfect, I don't like saying perfect, but is so close to perfect, and it's sealed, which I think is mega, and it's the lightest on the market. Nikon gets a lot of stick for having the biggest lenses. And what have they done? They've made the lightest one. And it's like, oh, but it's not that impressive. No, they've made the lightest one. They've made it zoomed, and it's balanced, and they've made it all internal. These for people that work in tough conditions, which professional photographers do. I've hung out of helicopters. I've been shooting at the ocean. I've shot on oil rigs. I've shot dirt bikes. I've shot all sorts of stuff. And you don't want to have to think about your lens. I've zoomed out my lens and it's going to get stuff on it and it's going to be sea spray and now I'm worried about it. This is a real professional, serious tool that real professionals will just not think a second about. It's sealed. This is fabulous. And so that's what they've brought to the table. And it's optically spectacular. And the reality is I don't think there's like 5 people in the world that have put out a video about it so far. So, those who are commenting on it and haven't used it, they need to actually use it, because this is a special, and I'm not a fanboy. I'm a professional photographer, and this is a useful tool. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like no, that's good. That's a great point, Matt. It's actually great. I mean, and I do feel Nikon could have probably put this in more people's hands. And some people say maybe it's the tariffs in America. No, I can tell you for sure it's not because of the tariffs in America. I don't think, for whatever reason, I don't know why they didn't put it in more people's hands. I'm curious as well, because even from on my side, like you got it, Matt. Even over here, I asked the Singapore office. They're like, "Oh, we don't have a copy in the office." And by the time they got a copy, yeah.
I have a theory. My theory is that marketing went, it's just version 2, and marketing didn't know what I learned, which it's just, and I think we all know that sometimes there's a bit of a disconnect between engineering and marketing. I think we've all experienced that with all of the camera companies, that they don't 100% understand the product that's in their hands sometimes, right?
I agree. I agree.
And that's what I would say it to all companies. Unless you know it's bad, give it out to the reviewers and the creators and so on, because it's guys like you and me. We go out and road test this stuff, right? And then we know where it's at. And I found this lens to be spectacular. So I think it's about that, and I think it's just that it's a bit of column A, which is that, and a bit of column B that they're a little bit busy at the moment. That's what I think. That's what I think.
Yeah. I mean, we'll find out.
I don't think it was a choice to, like, we're not going to give it. Like, the fact that it didn't end up in the States, yes, Mark Cruz got it, but he's a Nikon employee, right? So,
I mean, even the Petapixel guys didn't get it. They didn't get it at all, which is shocking.
Exactly,
which is shocking.
So I just literally think they don't realize how good it is, and that's a question within itself, and we can't answer that question, but it's, or maybe they
have another plan. Maybe they have other plans for it too. Never know. Maybe they.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, maybe they're saving it for something else. I mean, we don't know.
Yep.
I mean, we don't work for Nikon. We don't talk to them daily. We're not in the meetings.
Yep.
But I mean, but I do think you have a valid point in the sense that I do think what Matt, to kind of tap on what you said there, Matt, that sometimes the marketing teams don't realize, hey, there is an interest in a version 2, and actually, why not give it out there and see? It may surprise you that there is actually more interest in it than we think.
Yeah, look at the end of the day, and I respect this. It's totally their prerogative as to who, what, where, why, get who, what, why, and maybe they're just literally busy. Like I don't personally have a problem with it, but you and I would agree that it's in any company's best interest that if they've got a fine product, get the word out there. We would agree with that, but we don't know the machinations of what goes on. You've got a company like Apple, which probably, they get all this stuff right all the time. Maybe, or maybe they don't. Maybe sometimes they don't invite the wrong people to the right event. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, we're all human, and we're all running hard to get stuff done. And
agree.
But anyway, that's probably a great place, Bobby, to because we've had a really fun time. This has been great, and we're heading to the 1 hour and 40-minute mark. Can you believe that?
Wow. Yeah, I know. I got to go in here soon. I got to get to work here, and I think you do as well, right? You got some stuff happening.
Today. Always. There's plenty to do. I'll just put up one last note from Turkography, which is Jared Pollan made the claim nobody got the lens to review, yet I believe due to nobody in the US receiving it for review, he didn't realize people in other countries. Sure. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. It's interesting he made that claim, and it wasn't the case, but that's okay. It'll forever be a mystery, But another point in question though, Bobby, is none of us knew, the launch of the ZF yesterday. None of us knew about that either. So that was another choice, and that's okay. I literally got an email that we all got, as in the marketing email. Here's the new ZF, and I'm like, Bobby, check it out. And then I made my video after that. So yeah, who knows? And it's all good. We're all happy. At the end of the day,
Oh,
we're all
good.
getting cool. We're all getting very, very cool stuff.
That's true. That's true. All right, guys. Well, you know, with that, I think, Matt, let's wrap this bad boy up. I mean, I think next week, guys, is going to be a massive week. I won't be able to join you all. I think, Matt, you're going to be overseas as well, right?
I might be. We'll see. We'll see what I can manage to achieve. I will try.
Okay.
I'll try very hard. But there's lots going on. So we're gonna want to talk somehow.
Yeah.
Or I'll do it by myself. You know, whatever happens.
Yeah. Next week's going to be a massive week, guys. I think. Obviously, there's rumors out there of things that you guys don't even know about. That it's going to be a massive week. So I think we are excited, and if we can do a live stream together, we will. I will be flying back on Thursday evening here. So Friday. I forget what date it is. I have to look at my calendar. I'll be flying back on the 12th, whatever date that is. If that's Friday, then yeah, we'll miss 12th. It.
I don't know. Yeah, what is the 12th? I don't know either. I think the 12th after.
Yeah, I don't know.
Isn't it?
Yeah, 12th is Friday, but yeah.
We can talk about this offline, Bobby. It's all good.
Yeah, we got that. All good. Yeah, but guys, we'll be with you. There's gonna be a lot to talk about, and this live stream will be popping like nobody's business when we get back on board.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for the amazing commentary. Please make sure you give a like if you feel so inclined. If you haven't subscribed to Bobby, subscribe to Bobby. He's awesome, and he's off to Cupertino. He will have iPhones in his hands, and I'm sure he'll do some live streams from him. It's been so good to see you all. Thank you very much for being here, and we will see you very soon. All right.